up, guys? We're back with the breakdown. I'm Peyton, that's Cameron, that's Alex. What are we talking about today?
NBA free agency, trades. Let's get right into it.
I think,
Well, we got probably the biggest trade of the offseason so far was Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. Thoughts, reactions?
They gave up 5 picks. They technically gave up 5 first-round picks. So they gave up Walker Kessler, who was a first-round pick this year. He hasn't played. So 5 picks for 3-time Depoy, who's probably... I think it's going to fit in well with Cat. I think it's going to take a lot off Cat's shoulders defensively.
Yeah, the Wolves need a defense
so
for sure.
They'll move Cat to the power forward, which he already was playing because Vanderbilt was pretty much playing the 5 for them to begin with last season. But just like, obviously, Gobert's an upgrade over Vanderbilt. So I do think it gets them better, but I think they gave up way too much. And I'm sure we can all agree on that.
I mean, I saw that, and I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the move just because I don't really see the two bigs working very well, especially in the modern NBA. And they also gave up some decent role players, like you said. Walker Kessler was the first round pick.
The whole bench is gone.
Pat Bev, Malik Beasley, Vanderbilt. All three they're all 4. I mean, if you want to say Walker Kessler, but all 3 of those guys are solid NBA players, role players.
Jake Lemon can go from the 0 dude to a few minutes a game.
I just don't really get it. I don't see how Rudy Gobert really elevates you to a really good team.
I disagree. I think
the West is so tough though.
I think first, only time will tell with that. We'll never really tell how good they'll be until the season actually starts. But I think he elevates them for sure. He's one of those guys. He's a Hall of Famer. Whether you like it or not, his defensive presence, at the rim and overall, he's a Hall of Famer to begin with. And I think taking all that off Cat's shoulders and then it'll elevate Cat offensively. I think it'll make them better. I don't think they'll be a contender adding Gobert, but I do definitely think it makes them a lot better.
The thing with that is you have to be with the Warriors won the championship. You have to be the Warriors. What do the Warriors play? Small ball. Cat can't keep up with anybody on the Warriors, and Gobert definitely. He impacts people at the rim, but they kill him every time they play them. So it's I don't see how this move. It's not a championship move. It's we're building around Ant. We're trying to get people around Ant, and Cat. But I think Ant's the player.
We want to compete. We want to compete more.
We want to compete, and we want to keep Ant happy, and we want to do it.
It definitely. I think the success of that team definitely is around Ant. Sean Ant grows into the player they think he'll be. If he grows into that All NBA first team, then maybe this team is a top 4 seed, top 3 seed. But as of right now, unless Ant takes that next jump, then they're not.
And when we talk about the Warriors and trying to win a championship, a lot that's happened with the championships is you kind of have to get lucky. Maybe if a team like the Warriors gets hurt again, that helps the chances of a team like the Timberwolves. So it's possible that it could work.
Yeah,
I also have the Clippers above them right now,
and I also have the Nuggets above them.
Yeah,
especially they get fully healthy.
Clippers with the signing of John Wall. What do y'all think of that?
Love it.
I also love it because Reggie Jackson's not a true point guard, and they needed a point guard really bad. John Wall.
In his heyday, he was throwing up 10 assists a game.
Yeah, John Wall.
He was leading the league in assists.
He averaged 20 points before he went. Before the Rockets started to not play him, he was averaging 20 a game. So it's not like he's just a washed up old veteran.
Yeah.
He just hasn't played.
Right.
And they got him for relatively cheap. He's not getting paid a lot. And if he comes back, that's a scare. With Paul George, healthy Kawhi Leonard, Reggie Jackson, they have some good role players over there too. That could be a scary team.
Speaking of another team we have over them, the Nuggets, Jokic signing a supermax for 5 years, $264 million.
Wasn't that the biggest contract in NBA history? You don't like that?
Yeah, it was. No. What I don't like as an NBA fan is the amount of money you're just shipping to one player.
I agree with
you can't go to these games anymore. Literally, 50 million, over 50 million a year is ridiculous for one player. And that's why nobody goes to these games anymore. It's you pay 50 million to one player, the ticket prices go up, and you're nobody goes to the game. So it's just bringing the NBA down as a whole. But Jokic deserves it. Jokic deserves it. Beal for $50 million a year is ridiculous.
I don't know.
I would pay Beal 32 to 35 at most.
Well, If you don't have Beal on the Wizards, is anyone going to go anyways? Probably
I don't
not.
think
You
anyone's
go to Wizards games to watch Beal
I
because
don't
that's
think
like.
anyone's going to Wizards games regardless.
Especially
I mean,
with Beal.
I mean,
Like,
still.
I mean,
you got to pay Beal.
Beal, yeah, I agree. But
If he
Beal's,
wants money, you're going to give him
he's
the
made
money.
it clear that he just cares about the bag. He doesn't really care about.
I mean,
winning.
and respectfully.
I mean,
right?
yeah, you know, if
I mean,
you're
shit,
gonna
you give me
get your
250.
yeah.
I'll go win 10 games.
I
a
saw,
year.
I saw his like he was like cussing out his AAU team. It's like
yeah.
everybody cares about winning the NBA, and I was like, what?
He don't care because he gets his money. But hey,
Exactly.
Booker also got a supermax 4-year, 214. I just feel like so many guys get a supermax deal. Like
It's like if you're the best player on a team,
you're gonna get supermax, and I just don't feel like I'm not saying Booker doesn't deserve
Well,
it.
don't you have to be All NBA to get a Supermax?
I'm not
So,
sure.
You need to be
I
all
mean,
NBA.
obviously, if you're All NBA, I don't know if you deserve it, but if you get a Supermax,
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of guys who are getting paid like over like $40-50 million a year now in the NBA.
Like, see, look at the difference. Booker 4-year 214 compared to Zach LaVine, which is getting 5-year 215. 5 years. Like
Right.
that's the difference between the All NBA and not All NBA. So it's like, I mean, good for LaVine, but I mean,
I love
Booker's
that
getting paid
deal.
so much more.
I'm a big Zach LaVine guy.
Oh yeah.
He's a great player, and I mean, I guess you have to keep him if you're the Bulls. That's the thing. Like these teams are kind of forced to pay these guys because if you don't pay them, they're just gonna go somewhere else to get the same money.
It's the Diva League, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of run by the players, which is something.
it's like I think it's the opposite of the NFL because you see a bunch of people in the NFL. I guess it is different because like there's so many players on the roster.
Yeah.
But you see a bunch of players in the NFL, like Brady, for example. He always takes these pay cuts, so he wins chips, and that's what you have to do. You have to sacrifice some money to be good.
That's
and
what-
it's players like you wonder why Beal doesn't win or people like that because Beal takes these 5 years, 250, right? And then who else are you gonna pay?
And also we see that in the there's a lot more. The players have so much more control in the NBA than they do in the NFL.
Yeah, the players run the
Yeah.
league. Yeah.
In the NFL, if you have a guy like look at Le'Veon Bell, he sat out a whole year, and it's not like the Steelers were like, okay, let's give you whatever you want. Let me give you all the money. They
Exactly.
said,
Let him
okay,
know, bro.
James Conner, here you go, and look what happens. Because I think it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to replace a guy in the NFL, especially because the shelf life of an NFL player is shorter. But
Exactly, especially at the running back.
exactly, and these basketball players, they're like, if they're like, oh, we're not happy, it's like, here, instantly, what do you want? Like with the Nets, like KD just, I think it's disgusting how KD signs a huge deal. I mean, you commit to play somewhere when you sign with them. They pay you a lot of money. They do everything to make
Things
you
don't
happy.
go your way, and then you just I want.
And you just say, oh, I want to leave. I think that's ridiculous. I mean,
I mean,
I
speaking
agree
of
with
bags, also in New York, Jalen Brunson getting a 4-year, $140 million contract, which is utterly ridiculous.
Absurd.
I mean, that kid does not deserve $26 million a year.
I don't
but
know. I think later on down the line we may think, oh, maybe that deal was good. Maybe he leads them to the playoffs alongside Julius Randle and RJ Barrett and makes a push. But right now, I don't agree. He had a good playoff stint maybe.
yeah.
I mean, with all these contracts getting dished out, with like Jokic contract, it's like that contract. It's just inflation, basically, literally.
Exactly, everything's
Like the new $26 million a year is probably $20 million a year. Like it's ridiculous.
And speaking on that, where does that leave Luka with Dinwiddie and Finney Smith?
I mean,
have they signed anybody to help him? No,
I think so.
that's kind of sad.
They traded for somebody, did they not?
Christian Wood.
Christian
Oh,
Wood.
Christian Wood.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
Christian-
they did drop some of their bench for that. But I mean,
Luka's Luka, and Luka's gonna do Luka things, and
they also get
Knowing him, he'll probably-
THJ back, so don't sleep on that.
who?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah,
a
no,
really good
I
shooter. Really
didn't-
good shooter.
Yeah. I didn't.
He'll help him in the
understand
backcourt. But I mean, also another W move is Hawks. Hawks played this tremendously for getting DeJounte Murray, pairing him up with Trae Young in the backcourt. I really like that move for them.
Yeah, we made a TikTok on that. Make sure y'all check that out.
How do y'all think that they'll coexist in that offense? Do you think that they'll both be able to work together and
for sure.
really elevate that team to the next level? Because
I
that's
think
two ball dominant point guards.
If you heard DeJounte in his presser, like thanking the Spurs, like did y'all hear that? Like he like thanked the Spurs for like trading him away because like he just like respected that move. Like
Right.
DeJounte Murray came from like the San Antonio under Pop. Like he's not gonna be like a. I don't think he's a diva.
Uh-huh.
He
No,
came from
exactly.
nothing. Like he was in jail, but like in the jail cell, to like playing in the NBA, getting this like money, getting traded for all this stuff. Like I think he's gonna be like he wants to win.
And he's a very unrecognized guy as well.
This, yeah,
I think talks about
average-
he's one of the best players in the league.
He averaged
almost averaged-
29 and 8. Like almost averaged triple double.
Almost averaged triple-double. I feel like,
Dude,
especially last season, he was underrated. And then he didn't even make the All-Star game this year. He went in as a reserve, and then people got injured, and then he made it, which I thought was really ridiculous, considering he's putting up almost a triple-double a game. Thought he was really underrated, and then he gets traded, and then now he's actually like gonna be in the spotlight, where he's gonna be winning games, unlike he was in San Antonio, alongside another All-Star, which I think will also elevate his game. He'll play defense, he'll do what he does, and then I think they'll win games. I think they can make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals like they did a couple of years ago.
he also is a center now. He never had a center chance.
And then also for the Spurs, I mean,
they're gonna trade him.
for the Spurs, that means that we're just hitting the tank with the Spurs.
For Victor Wembanyama. Yep.
Check
I
out how
agree.
that's.
Let's
But
talk
I mean,
about
another point guard, in the East, Malcolm
Yeah.
Brogdon, going to the Celtics.
I think that was probably the best move of the offseason so far.
For
But
sure.
I think we should let Cam talk about it because I know he's
Brad
just dying
Stevens.
to.
Brad Stevens
I
hitting
think-
my head right now.
Yeah, Brad Stevens needs his cookie. He's been one of the best GMs since he stepped up, I guess. Usually you step down, but he stepped up into the GM, and then so what we give up Tice, Neesmith, a bunch of other players, and then a first. Obviously, it's a great move for us, but he is on an expiring contract, and he has never played he's played one healthy season his whole like NBA career. So, banking he stays healthy, I think. Knock on wood, I think we are front runners.
So
for
it's
finals.
a win now move.
Yeah.
Easily, because I doubt we'll have the money to re-sign him, and then he'll obviously
that's
want a lot of money.
It's going to be one of the best starting fives in the league with Brogdon
Right.
and Smart.
And then to think we also signed Gallo,
yeah.
so Gallo will come off the bench. We're gonna be way deeper than we were last year. Like last year in the playoffs, we ran 7-man rotation.
we talked
sometimes
about that in the finals. It was
Yeah.
very
it was
top.
yeah,
heavy
it was
lineup.
yeah, right.
I mean-
it was like 7. But next year we'll probably run like 9-10 man.
Yeah.
With Horford coming off the bench now.
Yeah. I mean, Brogdon went healthy to 50-49 type of guy.
Right.
Like, he was hitting that for 2 or 3 years. Like,
He was
this is a really good move for the Celtics. I mean, also, like, the better, keep getting better. Like, Warriors signed DiVincenzo for 2 years, $9.3 million. I think that's a ridiculous steal. Like, DiVincenzo's a really good player.
right.
Like,
Considering
with the Bucks before he got hurt, like, he was they're starting 2,
Yeah,
I want
he
to say.
was.
he has I think he has a lot to prove because he was hurt, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
He
went to the
kind of
Kings.
fell off the
And
face. of
then
the
Yeah,
earth.
exactly.
they lost Juan Toscano Anderson, Otto Porter, and Gary Payton. So I
Yeah,
think
Green and Blazers.
bringing in DiVincenzo, he's gonna have to fill the role of those 3 people, which we'll see how he does.
Well, and I also think that the Warriors are kind of banking on guys like Moody and Kuminga to take the next step. Possibly, are they playing in the summer league right now?
Yeah.
So they're probably banking on them to take that next step and hopefully hop into a filler role going into this next season.
I mean, also another guy, Wiseman. Like, what has he done? He'll definitely
yeah.
need to step it up. He was a second pick 2 years ago. They drafted him over LaMelo, right?
Yeah.
Like that bust material, really. Like you see LaMelo and Ant, they're already pretty much perennial all stars.
Greg Oden vibes.
Really.
I mean-
it's really sad to see like he's played not a full season 3 years in.
Like,
It sucks.
I really think Gary Payton was like super essential to the Warriors team. Like he guarded like he guards the other team's point guards. Like when he goes in, like he's guarding their best players.
He was a glue guy.
But I think Moody, because Moody has really good defense. I think Moody could get to that level. He's a little bigger than Payton, and he's like a little slower on the feet. But I think the Warriors and what they're trying to do is just rebuild and retool with Kuminga. Also drafted Patrick Baldwin, which is going to be a process for him.
Yeah.
He can be really good. But the Warriors,
And
they're a championship
that
franchise.
one dude that popped off in the G League, Gui.
Oh, the Asian dude. Yeah, that's true.
Him. I like him. He couldn't out. No one knew he was 55th overall pick. He had like 24 or something. Had like 26.
In the summer league, yeah.
Another point.
I have a question before we get started. Do y'all think the Warriors can? Do you think they have another chip in them?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely possible. after last year.
With like the Celtics moves and with the Hawks move and all these younger teams and
if
coming up.
If the West stays healthy, no. But if the West does not stay healthy, which the West usually doesn't,
I think.
Then
when you said the
I
West
think
is healthy,
I think a healthy Nuggets.
I'm counting the Nuggets. I'm counting the Clippers.
Yeah,
I'm counting.
The Lakers.
The Lakers. Yeah, exactly.
Healthy Lakers team, I think, and a healthy Nuggets team.
I think they do have another shot. Like I said, I think they definitely have another shot, but I think they're going to need some things to go their way, such as James Wiseman, such as Moody and Kuminga developing.
I mean, winning championships, like, their dynasty before, like, you don't have to get lucky to beat teams, but I mean, with championships, you need some luck.
You do.
Like, with it.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's just how it is in the NBA.
I mean, you have to win so many games, you can't. It's not, and that's not always the best team that wins either. It's usually
a lot of it's like
team.
how hot you are going into the playoffs.
Like, I think the Bucks were the best team. I think the Bucks are probably the favorites next year. To be honest, and Middleton coming back, like exactly, like I think if Middleton's healthy, I think they beat the Celtics. I think they beat the Heat. I think they clean this. I think they clean the Warriors.
I think I saw something that Durant to the Heat was a done deal.
Really?
Yeah. So I think
he goes to the Heat.
It's going to be a trade centered around Harrow with probably about like 30 picks.
They said they wanted Bam.
The only thing I saw was that the Heat do not have a lot of their picks, which could be.
I mean,
whoever gets Durant is obviously gonna not favorites, but they're gonna jump.
They gave one up for PJ. The Heat gave one for PJ, and then
and PJ's gone. Speaking of PJ, he signed with the Sixers for
3 years.
3 year, $33.5 million.
I
love PJ. He's one of those guys that like makes your team better. Like you hate playing against him, you love playing with him. But how old is he?
I would like it if it was a 1 year deal, but for 3 years, I really don't understand.
I think they kind of overpaid too. I feel like 11 a year for him is quite a lot.
I mean, I think Daryl Morey has a PJ Tucker obsession. You know, he keeps bringing the old Rockets back to wherever he's at.
Man.
I mean, they said Harden's gonna try to take a pay cut to.
That's not James Harden, bro. We know James Harden.
Which we'll see.
All right, and then. Back on the KD.
I mean, I see the Suns. I've seen the Suns as the favorites. But who do you give up?
I don't like the Suns. I don't like the Suns for KD. Like,
who do you give up to get KD
on the Suns?
Yeah.
You can't give up any
you can't give up Booker, right?
Is he a free agent?
Ayton Bridges.
Ayton is a free agent.
Sign and trade Ayton, Mikal Bridges, and
then first, I guess.
Cameron Johnson probably is gone.
Johnson,
and then a bunch of picks. But there's a core of CP3,
D-Book and
KD.
Yes, obviously. I don't care who your role players are. If you have D-Book, CP, and
did we not just say that for Kyrie, James Harden, and KD?
That's different when they're. I'm saying fully healthy.
Well, and playing.
And KD or Kyrie.
Has CP3 been healthy ever?
He played. I mean,
has CP3 ever been healthy?
Okay, but you can't really compare the healthiness of players to the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn, because a lot of that wasn't even health. That was just
divaness.
Divaness, yeah.
Exactly. Or something wrong.
Just bad chemistry. Nobody was ever on the same page.
I mean, even if KD was hurt half the year last year.
Even when KD was hurt, Kyrie was doing whatever he was doing. He didn't want
Harden. It was like Harden and Bruce Brown.
Chris Paul was hurt, and they didn't lose when he was hurt. Yes, they had the role players that they had, and they wouldn't have them with KD. But then Chris Paul gets hurt, and then KD's there.
It's hard to bank on injuries too. But I think time will tell with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I think both Kyrie and KD stay with the Nets and end up playing next year for the Nets.
Speaking of the Nets, they also traded a first for Royce O'Neal from the Jazz.
I don't even know how they have any first left.
I'm confused on why they even did that.
I don't know.
Why a first for Royce O'Neal? That's a good trade for the Jazz.
I could have given you
the Jazz
have chips for Royce O'Neal.
The Jazz have they got 7 first-round picks in a span of 22 hours with the Gobert trade and the Royce O'Neal trade. So they're obviously gonna throw those picks around to help out and please Mitchell, which they need to do.
Or they could be going into a complete rebuild and tearing it all up. I think those are both real possibilities.
I'm in love with Mitchell. I think Mitchell's too good to trade. I think you have to try and at least build around him.
I'm one of the people that said Donovan Mitchell over Devin Booker. I'm one of those people.
Oh, I'm one of those people too.
I think Donovan Mitchell's better than Devin Booker.
I agree.
I think building around him, Gobert, is such a big, like a 7-footer, and he doesn't move out the paint. So it's like,
can't space.
Think about it. Donovan Mitchell was a slasher, like in college, and he's still. I mean, he's a dunker, like, and he's developed a shot. But I mean, getting to the paint, like without that humongous center in the middle just all the time is like gonna benefit him so much. I think. I don't know.
Well, another few guards on the West got some big pay with Anthony Simons with that $100 million extension.
He deserved that.
Dort,
Simons.
Lou Dort, 5 years, $87.5 million.
That's a lot, but I mean, Sam Presti is a genius,
I like Dort.
So.
I like Dort
a good 3-and-D guy. I mean, they're building something.
3-and-D, but
there.
not as good as doesn't really have a 3.
He's shown the 3 at times.
He's gotten better, but I mean, it's the Thunder. They're waiting. It'll be a 5 years.
I think we all love the Thunder. Poku,
Yeah.
I love Poku. Chet, I think they're building something
Shea.
for sure.
Oh, they're definitely building something.
I love Shea
They only have
too.
$1 million picks from now until
next year.
You know, I hate the Lakers. They added Lonnie Walker and Juan Toscano Anderson.
Lonnie Walker's. I like Lonnie Walker.
I love
He's
Lonnie
really
Walker.
explosive.
Yeah.
He really get the crowd, especially in LA. One big dunk with him, get everybody into it.
I hate the Lakers though.
Well, what if the Lakers get Kyrie? Like everyone is, or the whole consensus is
Who
pushing.
did they even
him.
give up for Kyrie? Like,
Exactly.
what are the Nets like
A bunch of
attracted to?
Why would anyone ever want to do a deal with Kyrie where you get Russell Westbrook?
This is the thing. The Lakers don't have picks. They gave all of them to New Orleans, like for Anthony Davis. Like I'm so confused.
But this is the problem though, is that a guy like Kyrie says, "I want to get traded, trade me." It's like I'm not going to play for you unless you trade me. So you're kind of forced to.
You're forced
to deal. You're forced to
And
lose.
he just signed.
lose the deal.
And you're
just
forced.
ended.
Exactly.
I mean,
Just
you're
like-
forced to lose the deal because you can keep this guy who basically said, "I'm not going to play for you," or you trade him and you lose the deal, but at least you got something in return for it.
The two guys that have won trades like trying to force their way out is Paul George with the Clippers and then Thunder. Thunder got so many picks and Shea for that.
Exactly.
And the Rockets with Harden got like 7 picks, and those are going to be really good now. With the Nets getting destroyed, so it's like but I don't see the Nets doing that though, because Kyrie's just wants to get out. Like he wants to get out. He's pushing, and Westbrook is not valuable to any team.
Well, let's say theoretically they do get rid of Kyrie and KD, and then they'll have 16 picks probably, and then that's when the rebuild starts for them again.
But picks
And I think that's a successful offseason with them, considering they get all those picks and then lose people who wouldn't want to play with them.
it's just awful to see how
throw out their picks.
I mean, a couple of years ago they were they go out and they spend all this money and they're supposed to be starting not a dynasty, but a long run of winning.
This is
then
the biggest.
This is the new NBA now.
The biggest how do you say it? The worst
fallout.
Yeah,
disaster.
The big three. This was probably one of the best big threes of all time, and it was just a failure. The biggest failure in freaking NBA history. 3 MVP candidates pretty much.
Yeah.
Just all together,
never.
2 MVPs, and then a guy who probably could win MVP, and you don't even. They won 2 playoff series.
Yeah.
3.
I swept last year, dog.
Crazy. It's crazy what the Celtics defense can do to you. Just ruin the whole franchise, man. It's crazy.
Got anything else to add to? I mean, that's.
I think we covered everything. I mean, I'm sure maybe we'll probably end up making another video later in the off season because I'm sure there'll be more moves to come.
For sure.
Make sure you follow the TikTok because as soon as some big things are happening, we're posting that.
Dropping up.
I want to ask y'all, what do you think is the best move this offseason?
I said Brogdon, and I'm sticking by that. I mean, this was a team that made the finals. They took the Warriors to 6 games, and one of their biggest issues was 1, depth, and 2, the lack of a true point guard.
Yeah.
And they kind of add both those things when they add another huge player, a really good player, and now Brogdon can handle the point, and Smart isn't forced to play a role that he's not really best fit for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that deal was amazing, and they didn't really give up much. So
I'd probably say Brogdon.
I would say Brogdon, and then if not, I'd say the Jazz trading away Gobert.
I mean, the best re-signing was Jokic, locking.
I mean,
was
yeah.
humongous for them too. So I mean, yeah. The offseason has been eventful,
I
but
think it's been fun.
the blockbuster moves are about
I
to
think
go
we're still
down.
waiting for. I mean, as soon as the KD, the Kyrie news.
Harden, so
like
free agent.
like it's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
It has to.
I mean, just it's.
For all we know, it could happen already.
Never mind.
But what I did see was a theory that Katie and Kyrie hate the media.
I saw that too, and they're doing this as a big stint.
They're doing it as a stint for
Back
the
up.
media to like get crazy and stir it all up, and they're
That
gonna
would
stay.
that would be
again.
something. That would be something.
I think that'd be funny.
Only time will
Only
tell.
if like the other Brooklyn players knew that, because like I
Ben-
wouldn't want to play
like,
for them.
You saw what Ben Simmons put on his Instagram story?
Oh,
And like 10 minutes later,
yeah,
like
And then he deactivated his Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
so it's like I
Dang.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah, it's like Ben Simmons is still there, so it's I don't know, dog.
hey, a healthy Ben Simmons is
I don't know.
deadly.
The NBA is going to be interesting. Stay tuned for our TikToks. I mean, it's
Sure.
going to be crazy. It's going to go down soon.
We're on it.
We're on it.
Brown on rice.
Signing out. Right down.
Peace.